he suddenly realized something. If he soaked the bills in tea, a brand new banknote could be made to look old. He then soaked every bill in the tea. After that, he hung them on a clothesline. He dried them with a hairdryer. Soon, he had a large stack of worn-looking bills, but every single one of them was a freshly printed counterfeit. Compared to crisp new bills, older-looking ones were much less likely to raise suspicion. Now it was time to put their work to the test. His partner handed the fake bill to the shop owner and asked to buy a bottle of soda. The moment the owner took the bill, he immediately sensed something was wrong. Sunny's heart instantly sank. The owner grabbed his partner. Sunny rushed forward and desperately pulled his partner free. The nearby customers had no idea what was happening, but when they heard the owner shouting for someone to stop them, they joined the chase. They knew that if they got caught, they could very well be beaten to death. Fortunately, they had already planned an escape route. That allowed them to get away safely. After they returned, they burned every counterfeit bill. But Sunny couldn't understand one thing. He had even managed to recreate the security coding. So why had the owner spotted the fake immediately? He picked up the only fake bill they had left. Then he asked his partner to close his eyes. He placed 3 bills into his partner's hand. Then he asked which one was fake. His partner simply felt each bill with his fingers. Within seconds, he identified the counterfeit. That was exactly why they had failed. They had used the wrong kind of paper. Real banknotes are printed on a special cotton-based paper. Its texture was completely different from the paper they had been using. Anyone who handled cash regularly could tell the difference instantly. The paper also made a unique, crisp snapping sound. There was another challenge as well. The color-shifting ink on real banknotes. Viewed from different angles, the ink changed colors. Among all the security features, the security thread embedded in the fake bills was by far the hardest to reproduce. After 2016, India's 5, 0, 0 rupee and 1,000 rupee banknotes were withdrawn from circulation. They were replaced with the new Mahatma Gandhi series. The new notes included 3 additional security features. Only by solving every one of those challenges could they produce the counterfeit bills they wanted. The biggest obstacle was the tiny letters printed on the collar of Gandhi's portrait. Even a high-resolution scanner couldn't reproduce them perfectly. That made counterfeiting extremely difficult, so they had no choice but to hand-draw the original design from scratch. Then they carefully reduced it to scale and assembled every section together. Fortunately, this was Sunny's specialty. He recreated every tiny detail of the new banknote at a full 1-to-1 scale. After polishing it and treating it with chemicals, the printing plate for the counterfeit bills was finally complete. However, the cotton paper used for real banknotes was tightly controlled by the government. Ordinary people had almost no way to buy it, so they had to search for a substitute that felt as close to the real thing as possible. The two of them visited bookstores and recycling shops. They bought nearly every similar type of paper they could find, but none of them was suitable. Then, one day, Sunny discovered exactly what they needed. Inside an advertising brochure, he asked his partner to feel it. The texture was almost identical to a real banknote. The only problem was that it was too thin. But if they layered 2 sheets together, the texture became remarkably similar. Even the thickness was almost a perfect match. As long as they bleached the paper, separated it into 2 layers for individual printing, punched holes in the front, inserted the security strip, and glued both layers back together, they could produce a convincing counterfeit bill. But there was still one problem left: the color-shifting ink on the banknote. His partner came up with an idea. He mixed commonly available metallic paint with printing ink. The result created a color-shifting effect that looked almost identical to the genuine one. Then they coated the bill with a layer of clear varnish. That gave it the same crisp feel and sound as a real banknote. Now came the most critical step: soaking the bill in tea. To test the quality of their improved counterfeit, they returned to the same convenience store. The owner handled hundreds of banknotes every day, making him the perfect person to test it. But to avoid getting caught again, they held each other's hands so they could pull one another away if anything went wrong. When Sunny handed over the fake bill, his heart started racing. Outside, his partner was already prepared to run for his life. After he handed over the counterfeit bill, his heart raced with nervousness. His partner outside was already ready to run away, but the next moment, a bottle of soda was passed into his hand, along with some change. The two walked down the street with the soda. They showed neither excitement nor panic reactions. Yet once they got on the tricycle heading home, they could no longer hold back their joy. They had succeeded. Soon after, they pulled off an extremely risky plan. Sunny was abandoned as a child and grew up an orphan. He survived by begging at train stations thanks to his talent for drawing. Later on, he met Firoz, another abandoned kid. Firoz had a sharp business sense. Sunny did all the drawing work, while Firoz took charge of sales. They lived a decent life, until one day, their grandfather found Sunny. The two finally left that hard life behind. Grandpa ran a newspaper office on the verge of bankruptcy. Even though Sunny possessed outstanding artistic talent, he was still unknown to the public. Customers always tried to bargain for low prices. Sunny turned down those cheap offers. The newspaper office faced closure because of unpaid debts. It was Grandpa's lifelong effort. Sunny hated to see his grandfather heartbroken, so he came up with a bold plan. He decided to use his artistic gift to print counterfeit money. At first, Firoz was utterly shocked. In the end, the two agreed on the plan. Once they finished making their first fake banknote, they went to see the local gang. They planned to let the gang leader check whether the note was real. Worried about hidden flaws, Sunny mixed the fake bill with 2 genuine ones, asking the gang leader to pick out the counterfeit. Sunny said confidently, if the leader picked the fake correctly, he would pay him 100,000 in real cash. If he failed, the leader would have to pay 100,000 to them instead. Truth be told, the two could never afford such a large sum. Sunny was betting the gang leader could not spot the fake, for the bill had passed practical tests already. The gang leader stared at the banknotes for a very long time. In the end, end, he chose to buy their counterfeit money. Much to their surprise, he placed an order for 20 million. The goods had to be delivered within 2 weeks. Faced with this huge deal, Sonny agreed right away. In reality, they had nowhere near enough raw materials, nor enough printing machines. Printing 20 million was practically impossible. They had no money or resources at all. But Sonny already had a solution in mind. He went to visit his uncle and told him everything about their counterfeiting plan. After hearing the whole story, the uncle refused firmly. He would never let them commit such a crime. Still, this was the only way to save the newspaper office. The uncle finally gave his consent, but he wanted to test Sonny's counterfeit money first. They went to an upscale restaurant. When it was time to pay the bill, Sonny handed over one fake banknote. His uncle beside him was extremely anxious. If they got caught, both of them would end up in prison. At that moment, the restaurant owner behind the counter. Right then, the counter clerk was checking if the bills were fake. When the waiter handed over the change, the bills passed inspection. To print money in large quantities, they needed a high-speed printing press, larger steel plates, more ink, a new electric motor, and several dryers. All of these cost money, but Sonny said he had a plan. He and Feroz went to the bank the same day. The bank staff told them they first had to pay off his grandfather's massive old debt, or there would be no loan deal. Sonny promised the bank he would repay the full loan within a month, plus an extra 10% in interest. With the loan money, they soon bought all the necessary equipment. Still, one big problem remained. Where could they get the cotton paper used for making banknotes? Printing 20 million in cash required huge amounts of paper. Feroz contacted paper suppliers, but the government tightly controlled this material, which required official paperwork. He quickly hung up the phone. It was clear they could not buy the paper through legal channels, so they had to use illegal ways. They gathered a group of thug friends, broke into the paper mill at night, and the factory workers spotted them.